Happy World Poetry Day. Happy World Poetry Day. Did you know that every year 21st of March is celebrated as World Poetry Day? Well, if you didn't know, now you know. Welcome to Poetic Insights with Destiny the Midnight Owl. I am your host, and it is great to see you here today on this important day of World Poetry Day. And if this is your first time, I'm happy to host you. Make this your home. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, and here, stay, engage, and see how we can grow together. But if you've been here, especially those who are poets, allow me wish you happy World Poetry Day. Now, did you know that World Poetry Day was established by UNESCO in 1999? UNESCO stands for United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization. And the purpose of establishing this day was to promote the writing, reading, and all those elements concerning poetry, but also celebrate poets who have done recommendable work in society, and also recognize the power of poetry to shape different spectrums of life, culture in our societies. And today is a special day because we get to reiterate the power of poetry in our lives. We get to engage, to hear about what is happening in the world. Now, on this particular day of World Poetry Day, I just want to hint about something which is derived from my poem, The Bleeding Inks. We creatives and poets, you find that we are bleeding inks in one way or the other. We bleed on our pages through the things that we write, but we also find that we bleed internally. There are things that sometimes we may fail to express, the emotions, these poems that are speaking to us, and you find you sometimes unable to express it the way you want. You are bleeding within, and when you bring it to writing, you are bleeding on the pages of your work. When you go on stage, you are bleeding the emotions, the message in your pieces. But I want to also shed light on the fact that we bleed because of this work. Sometimes we bleed literally through the oppression that comes to poets because of the kind of work that they write, especially those that are touching the pain points of society and countries and development, and those that are calling for reforms. So you find that one way or the other, poets are bleeding inks. I wrote Bleeding Inks in 2021, and it was derived from the fact of seeing how different poets, authors, writers, journalists, people who write go through different things, especially when they some are killed, unfortunately, some get brutalized, harassed online, offline because of their words. Now, this poem has been living on. I've had the honor of sharing it with the journalism students at their graduation at NLA University in Norway last year.
Breathing in the essence of nature, breathing out words you consider weapons, scribbling these pages into a revolution.
But it hit me so deeply this year. In 2022, I was at the East African Poetic Hour Battle in Kisumu, where I won as the second runner-up. This was my accolade. Yes, today I also celebrate that. But I met a young man called Salma, the Turkana poet. His kind of poetry is revolutionary, talking about the need for peace. And in Feb this year, as we were getting towards performing for Mapenzi Beyond Borders. I am on Facebook and I log on to see that the Turkana poet was murdered or killed, was dead. It was a shock to my bones. It was a shock to my heart. I was moving and I felt this huge prick. Yes, I have interacted with him mainly online. But while at the East African Poetic, our battle, he was one of those people that I got to know, to understand, to interact with. And immediately my heart went to Bleeding Inks. How the nature of his death and how he used his poetry to speak about the social issues affecting his country and his region just reflected to the fact that as creatives in one way or the other, we are bleeding inks. And today, as we celebrate World Poetry Day, I never got to mourn Salma properly, emotionally, because amidst all the pain of the heartache, I was organizing a show. But in a special way, I want to dedicate this poem of Bleeding Inks to Salman, the fallen hero, the Turkana poet, and to also dedicate it to all other poets who, in the pursuit of their art, have found themselves bleeding, physically bleeding, emotionally bleeding on their pages. I know together we are all bleeding inks. And today, as we celebrate World Poetry Day, I want to dedicate this poem of mine, Bleeding Inks, as a tribute to Salman, the Turkana poet, to recognize his work and the efforts he did before he passed on, but to also recognize all those fallen heroes, fallen poets, who bled through their pages, through their emotions, on their stage, those who bleed by oppression, but also to recognize the fact that in one way or the other, we are all bleeding inks. And in our efforts to use our art as revolutionary weapons, as a social tool for transformation, for peace and unity, allow me celebrate you. And yes, don't forget to subscribe. I know it is a heavy moment. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment, to share with others. But above all else, help me share this poem to those who knew Salman deeper than I knew him. May his soul rest in peace. Dear Bleeding Ink. Enjoy the poem. Happy World Poetry Day. Bleeding Inks. What is our crime that you profess us guilty for living, breathing in the essence of nature, breathing out words you consider weapons, scribbling these pages into a revolutionary uproar, those whose hearts are set aflame, those whose blood thicken with every resistance? We are not your ordinary folk tales. We are creative voices weaving transformation into the fabric of society, confronting injustice with unwavering truth. We are the breeze of inspiration transcending times. We exist in the then, now, and tomorrow. You see, you may burn our books aflame, but these ashes we will scatter, every word blown by the wind to the corners of the world. You may break our bones and crack our will to live, stack bows across our chests like hunted birds, clobber our feet, but we may rise, like the phoenix with immortality. And if we die, at least our words will live to tell the tales of time when freedom oozes through our veins like ink from a pen. We are more than fading echoes. We are bleeding inks. We are poets.